Hey there guys, welcome to Anthony Reviews, where Anthony reviews. And today we are taking a look at the Super 7 Ultimate G.I. Joe Cobra Commander figure, which is pretty exciting. If you've checked out my channel before, you know I've checked out the Ultimate's Ghost Starscream and wasn't the biggest fan, but did like it. So let's see if this new figure from G.I. Joe, following in that Chris Latta 80s villain sort of path, lives up to the hype. Let's check it out.
G.I. Joe is back. Okay, they might not have a movie out right now, or a cartoon series, or even a comic book available at store shelves, but they do have toys. And G.I. Joe is a toy line first and foremost, so that's honestly the most important part. We've got figures from multiple companies, and one of those companies is Super 7. While Hasbro has got the classified line with their mix of retro and modern in the 6-inch scale, Super 7 has decided to go the animated route. We've already seen their reaction figures based on the Sunbow designs, but now we've got their much more expensive alternatives with G.I. Joe Ultimates. Last year, I reviewed the Ultimates Ghost Starscream figure. While I did enjoy that, I did feel that it was lacking something. Let's see if Cobra Commander manages to succeed where Starscream failed. First of all, this figure looks great. As mentioned before, this line is going for cartoon accuracy. For many people, that's still how they imagine the G.I. Joe brand to this day. I think it captures that animated aesthetic fairly well without having to go too over the top with additional shading or cartoony proportions. Not that that's always a bad thing, mind you. It certainly adds a little bit to the figures, but sometimes it limits the amount of potential buyers the more stylized you go. I feel like this has a good balance of cartoony fun and overall Cobra goodness. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Its cartoony inspiration does allow for some bright colors. The blue feels super nostalgic, and luckily there aren't many other colors to muddy up this very simple look. The stripe on the helmet is not the cleanest paint-wise, but it's not too distracting. One minor gripe I have is that due to the black on the gloves and boots, which look great by the way, I've had some black flakes rub off when changing the hands. We'll get more into that when addressing the accessories, but it is important to know regarding the paint job here. The cartoony look can also be seen in the overall sculpting. There are very few wrinkles or realistic details, which once again leads to its very clean design. The proportions are lean, which very much evokes the snake-like nature of the treacherous Cobra Commander. Moving into articulation, it is no secret at this point that Super 7 is not known for their super articulated bodies. If you were all about the double-jointed limbs and crazy posing, I would recommend staying away from the Ultimates line for now. With that being said, I don't find myself having too many issues with the articulation when it comes to Cobra Commander. A character like this won't be in too many ninja poses or daring brawls, so that certainly helps. I know the lack of joints in places like the arms and legs will be frustrating for some, but luckily it is not the end of the world here specifically. I still managed to get him in some very character-accurate poses. Overall, I'd say it's limited, but fair. Although I'm not a fan of how the ab crunch looks. I don't know, it's just too obvious and a bit obstructive to the sculpt for my taste. Let's talk accessories. This is where the figure truly shines. You get a lot here. We're talking alternate hands, multiple weapons, and a few reference-specific items that I'm sure to please tons of fans. When you're going as far as to reference an ad for an old NES game, you know you're in good hands. I love the cape. It's a fun pink color and includes a bendy wire, which is always fun for the sort of fabric capes that you get sometimes. In terms of variety, I am overjoyed. When I reviewed the Ghost Starscream figure, one of the things I was disappointed with was the lack of fun accessories. I'm glad that could be rectified with this figure. Unfortunately, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I do have two gripes when it comes to these accessories. Number one is the Cobra staff. A pretty standard Cobra Commander piece, but as you can see, mine came pretty warped due to how it was packaged. This was not the only piece that was warped either, as the alternate head included is smushed in such a way it almost looks as if he's raising an eyebrow. The head is nothing special, but it's still a shame to open a brand new figure and receive what is essentially damaged goods. And as I mentioned earlier, the paint used to give it that reflective feel on the boots and hands feels very slick and slippery, and I've just had little tiny bits whenever I change the hands over. It's not the end of the world. I hope this doesn't ruin the end look down the line, but as I mentioned, it is something to be aware of at least. This being my second Ultimates figure from Super 7, I feel like I've had a better experience this time around. By no means do I hate the Ghost Starscream, but I feel like it didn't live up to my expectations. While I can't say this is the greatest Cobra Commander figure ever made, it is still a blast and I'm happy to add it to my collection. The G.I. Joe Ultimates line is off to a good start.
So there you guys go. Those were my thoughts on the brand new Ultimates G.I. Joe Cobra Commander figure from Super 7. You know, not a perfect figure, but it is a step in the right direction, at least in my relationship with Super 7 Ultimates. I quite like the figure. I don't know if it's my favorite Cobra Commander yet, but who knows? We'll see. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out some of my other content. Like I mentioned before, I've got one other video reviewing the Ultimates Ghost Starscream figure. I've got other G.I. Joe related content and a bunch of other toy content in general. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the review, what you think of the figure, all that fun stuff. I'm at Anthony Lantern on Instagram and Twitter, and I think that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Take care.